Chris Jericho keeps talking about CM Punk on social media amid rumours that Punk could be set to return to AEW in the near future. Is this the beginning of a program between the two? Are seeds being planted, or is Jericho legitimately displaying his disdain for Phil Brooks returning to All Elite Wrestling? We got details on that. Plus, speaking of Chris Jericho, he's going to go face to face with Adam Cole this coming week on AEW Dynamite. Dax Harwood, of course, he's friends with CM Punk, but could his podcast be about to come to an end soon? A big announcement on that later on next week. Juice Robinson has been suspended by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Speaking of New Japan, Aussie Open have claimed more New Japan Pro Wrestling tag team gold this weekend. Will Osprey has been cleared from his shoulder injury, and Thunder Rosa gives an update on her back injury. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off talking about everyone's favourite subject and topic, that being one CM Punk and Chris Jericho. We know Chris Jericho is going to have a meeting with CM Punk in the near future. That meeting's also going to involve Tony Khan, FTR, and another non-wrestling personality. And by all accounts, the subject of the meeting is, can we work together? Can we coexist? Not in a tag team way like they do in WWE, but can we actually work together in the future? And maybe the meeting's already been held. Maybe the decision's already been made that Jericho and Punk can work with each other, because Jericho's talking a lot about CM Punk on social media right now. Now, Jericho and Punk have heat with each other going back at least to the AEW All Out event following Punk's comments at the post-event press conference and then his backstage brawl with the Elite. At All Out, Jericho reportedly told Punk that he was a cancer to the promotion and a detriment to the locker room, when Punk then went on a rant via Instagram recently. It included him ripping Jon Moxley, Dave Meltzer, and Chris Jericho, calling him a stooge. Now, as previously reported, AEW tentatively has plans for Punk to make his return to television on the June 21st episode of AEW Dynamite from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois. There is a planned meeting with AEW President Tony Khan, CM Punk, Jericho, and more happening soon as well. However, based on some recent tweets by Jericho, the former AEW World Champion, I guess, if you were to believe the tweets, doesn't want to have anything to do with working with CM Punk. Now, we've got the tweets in question. We'll get them up and put them on the screen because they're absolutely fascinating as always. So, the first one responded to a tweet where someone had attached a photo of Jericho and Punk together with the caption, "Chris Jericho, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've always been willing to work with everyone and you always do what's best for business. People are foolish to suggest otherwise." Jericho responded, "Not everyone." Again, basically at the time people suggesting, no, he doesn't want to work with CM Punk. Now, it must be said, there was a report that came out last year that suggested that Chris Jericho was one of many influential talents in AEW that had said to Tony Khan, if CM Punk comes back, I'm not willing to work with him, and maybe I'm not willing to work here. But Jericho, of course, he signed a new contract with AEW, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So some people thought at the time when he posted this tweet saying, oh, actually, maybe he really doesn't want to work with CM Punk. Maybe the heat is real. Maybe he wants nothing to do with Phil Brooks. Well, he's continued talking about CM Punk, as you can see in this next tweet. Sportskeeda then did their own graphic for this, which was the tweet in question. You can see it below. But then they put the eyes emoji, hashtag AEW, hashtag Chris Jericho. Jericho also responded to that by saying, quote, "I don't play games, guys." Now, when people saw him say that, they said, wow, he's really doubling down on that. That's quite interesting. Not only, as he said, I'm not willing to work with everyone, and then the picture of CM Punk is there. After that, he's going back to the tweet and saying, I don't play games. Now, to take up even a further notch, Jericho's posted on Instagram this photo. Now, you might just say, this is just Chris Jericho. It's just Chris Jericho being happy that he's in decent shape. He's 52 years old. I hope I look like that at 52 years old. But what's quite interesting is the location that he's decided to pick, and also the caption. Now, the caption, I'm going to do my best not to do the salty language, you know me, but the caption says, "You wanna F around at AEW, hashtag Jericho forever." And you might just say, look, it's just Jericho posturing, being, again, 52, happy with the shape he is, and coming up with a witty caption. But if you look right at the top, under his handle, Chris Jericho Fozzy, what's the location? Chicago, Illinois. Now, that seems pretty random because AEW hasn't been in Chicago since, I believe, the Thanksgiving Eve edition of AEW Dynamite last November. In fact, the next time they're going to be in Chicago is at those Chicago tapings on June 21st. first for the go-home editions of AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage at the Wintrust Arena. The very same shows that reportedly CM Punk is set to make his AEW return at. So now people are suggesting, hey, is Chris Jericho doing what he's done before, planting the seed on social media for an upcoming feud? He did it when he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, or he was going into New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he was going to have his feud with Kenny Omega. He got someone, his friend, to post a tweet about Kenny Omega. Then Jericho responded to it saying he's not even the best wrestler from Winnipeg. I think the initial tweet said Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world, and Jericho said he's not even the best wrestler from Winnipeg, and we know where that led. So Chris Jericho certainly does like to tease things on social media. So is this a sign that Jericho, being the savvy businessman that he is, said, hey, I don't like CM Punk, but given how personal this issue is between us, I think I can make money from it. Again, very interesting. Now, sticking to Chris Jericho, of course, he's got this budding feud and budding rivalry with Adam Cole. Adam Cole had some inspiring words for his AEW colleague Keith Lee last week, much to the chagrin of Lee's opponent Chris Jericho. Adam Cole shared an announcement that Jericho and Cole will come face-to-face on this Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite. The show will take place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. AEW shared a video from last week's Dynamite showing Jericho and his Jericho Appreciation Society comrade Daniel Garcia trash-talking Adam Cole, after Cole did his best to uplift Keith Lee following Lee's loss to Jericho in the main event. Jericho was assisted in his victory by Lee's former tag team partner Swerve Strickland. Cole helping Lee harkens back to the history that the two former NXT champions almost shared, as there were reports that Cole was tapped to manage Lee in WWE before both men departed the company. Of course, they had fantastic matches in NXT during their time on the Black and Gold brand. Despite Jericho being with AEW from its founding in 2019, Cole joined the company in 2021, and both men being employed by WWE for years, this will mark the first time that the two former Ring of Honor World Champions will cross paths in their lengthy careers. Despite his history with Ring of Honor, Cole is yet to be involved in the AEW run Ring of Honor, while Jericho held the ROH title for a number of months. Jericho recently credited his ROH Championship run with helping promote the new version of the long-running independent promotion, which is hastily purchased by Tony Khan at the beginning of 2022. He said, quote, I think it really helped AEW kind of get out of this weird situation we were in and grow, Jericho said of his ROH title reign. Do you agree with what Jericho was saying about that? A very interesting and divisive title reign it was indeed. Now, speaking of CM Punk, Dax Howard, big supporter, big proponent of CM Punk's return to AEW. And in fact, he's used his podcast several times to open up about hoping to see Punk return and the issue between CM Punk and the Elite in All Elite Wrestling. Despite primarily being used as a one-stop shop for any and all FTR-related WWE and AEW speculation over the past 4 months, the FTR podcast with Dax Howard has also been an insightful and interesting listen for any fans of the current AEW Tag Team Champions. While titled the FTR Podcast, the show has not featured the other half of the group, Cash Wheeler, instead being a solo effort from Dax alongside co-host Matt Coon. The podcast has fueled speculation that there are some big changes coming for it as well. Tweeting on Saturday evening, the official Twitter account for the podcast would state, quote, this Wednesday we will make an announcement pertaining to the future of this podcast. While the post sounds rather ominous, we will not know until Wednesday comes and goes as to whether the podcast will continue going forward. The show first aired on December 29, 2022, serving as the replacement for former AEW name William Regal's Gentleman Villain show, which ended amidst Regal's return to WWE in late 2022. Obviously, this comes off the back of all of the drama involving Brian Alvarez, Dax Howard, and all this kind of stuff. So some people had speculated that maybe AEW had said to Dax Howard, hey, maybe you don't do the podcast anymore. Maybe it's a case of Dax Howard saying, you know what, this is too much aggravation, I don't want to do it. His co-host even said sometimes the bad guys win, so we'll have to wait and see indeed what the announcement is this coming Wednesday. Now, quite a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling action over the weekend and quite some significant happenings going on. AEW star Juice Robinson has now been suspended by New Japan Pro Wrestling after forcing a no contest at Saturday's Capital Collision show. During the April 15 event, Robinson was slated to face off against Fred Rosa in singles action. Robinson attacked Rosa before the opening bell, however, and beat Rosa down with a ringside chair that was reserved for his wife Toni Storm. New Japan has now announced that Robinson has has been suspended and will not wrestle at Collision in Philadelphia on Sunday, that being today. New Japan shared the following statement saying, quote, "Thank you for supporting New Japan Pro Wrestling. On April 15 at Capital Collision, a scheduled match between Juice Robinson and Fred Rosa ended in a no contest when Robinson attacked Rosa before the bell and also assaulted an official. New Japan Pro Wrestling holds the safety of its competitors and the staff at the highest priority, and after careful consideration has determined that Juice Robinson be suspended effective immediately and until further notice. As a result, Robinson will not compete at Collision in Philadelphia. New Japan apologizes for the sudden card change and any inconvenience and disappointment caused." Robinson was originally set to face Lance Archer in the IWGP US Championship #1 Contenders Tournament, but now will be replaced by Fred Rosa. The IWGP US Championship is currently held by AEW's Kenny Omega, who defeated Will Osprey for the gold at January's Wrestle Kingdom 17 event. Now, sticking with New Japan, a match has been heavily teased between Aussie Open and FTR, possibly at Forbidden Door, and now Aussie Open have even more gold to brag about. Fresh off securing their first IWGP Tag Team Championship, Aussie Open have only gone and already added another set of tag team titles to their names, that being the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships. To win the titles, Aussie Open would defeat the former champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, and the all-star team of Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada in the triple threat tag match at Saturday's New Japan Capital Collision event from Washington, D.C. Following their victory, Aussie Open would label themselves the best tag team in the world, which was answered by the live crowd with chants of FTR in response. A match between the new AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR and the IWGP and now New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions Aussie Open was recently teased by both AEW and New Japan via their respective Twitter accounts. This tease has led to speculation regarding the match perhaps taking place at June's second annual AEW and New Japan crossover event Forbidden Door. While this has not yet been followed up on AEW television, Aussie Open did recently compete in their first IWGP Tag Team title defense on this week's episode of AEW Rampage, where they defeated the Best Friends. On the same show, FTR would provide their first comments following their title victory over the Guns at last week's AEW Dynamite, also revealing how long they have signed new contracts with AEW for. So, would you like to see Aussie Open versus FTR at Forbidden Door? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, Will Osprey looks like he's also going to be competing at Forbidden Door this summer because he is now being cleared from his shoulder injury. After over a month on the sidelines, Will Osprey has been cleared to return to the ring. As announced via a tweet from One Pro Wrestling, Osprey has been deemed fit enough to compete at their 1PW All or Nothing event on April 22nd. 1PW's announcement read the following: "We have been in constant communication with Will Osprey and can now confirm he is cleared to compete at All or Nothing on April 22nd. Will take on Undisputed Era's Bobby Fish for a shot at becoming the new 1PW World Champion." Osprey's opponent Fish would then respond to the good news saying, "Instant classic, folks. I guess where's the lie?" Osprey's time on the sidelines began on March 13, where during the New Japan World Cup match against his United Empire teammate Mark Davis, Osprey would suffer a shoulder injury. The injury would see him pulled from the highly anticipated New Japan Impact Multiverse United crossover show, where he was set to take on Speedball Mike Bailey in a match Bailey claimed would be the greatest professional wrestling match of all time. Osprey's United Empire stablemates, as I mentioned, Aussie Open, also won titles at Capital Collision over the weekend. Finally, speaking of injury updates, we've got one on Thunder Rosa. Former AEW World Champion, Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa has provided an unfortunate injury update, admitting that her current situation is frustrating. Rosa has been out of action since August, when she announced she'd be taking some time away from the ring to recover from an injury. Speaking on Busted Open Radio, Rosa noted that while she tried to step back into the ring, she's still in pain. Discussing her current AEW Spanish commentary role, Rosa said, quote, "I've been going to AEW for over 2 months now. I'm doing commentary now. That's my new position. Again, I'm going to talk about my injury. I'm not cleared. I have not been cleared. There's more things that have happened in the last couple of weeks. I've gotten in the ring. Unfortunately, the pain is still there, and it's very frustrating because I want to get in that ring and I want to do what I do best. That is, wrestle and to get that opportunity again. If life gives me that opportunity to be able to do things. I know there's been a lot of controversy in the last couple of weeks, and Thunder Rosa has been trending on Twitter, which I don't know because I don't use Twitter, but I get constant messages from my friends that I'm #1 trending on Sunday nights. It's just so weird. I know we have All Access, which stirred a lot of stuff up that I tried to put aside because it was very painful. Rosa originally stepped away from the ring as AEW Women's Champion, and Toni Storm became the interim women's title holder in her absence. After Jamie Hayter defeated Storm for the gold in November, Rosa relinquished the title, and the interim reigns were retroactively made official reigns. Addressing the decision to initially crown an interim champion, Rosa said, quote, "First and foremost, I want to make sure people understand that at the beginning of this drama, everybody was speculating that I wasn't hurt. It started with that. Then it was proven that I was hurt. There's MRIs. They talked to my doctor. I had multiple epidurals, and until now, I'm still not cleared. I had another MRI last week, and the pain is still there. Third of all, me personally, I wanted to drop the title the day they told me I couldn't wrestle because I was going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. My boss made a decision. He said, you're going to be the champion, and we will have an interim champion. I wanted to make it, for me as a competitor, I wanted to make it fair so my peers had an opportunity to defend the championship because it wasn't fair that I wasn't there and I wasn't going to be there and I was going to hold the title. I think a question that was raised was me not showing up. I wasn't booked to go there. When I got the news that I wasn't going to keep the title, it really caught me by surprise, like, oh, today is the day. I wasn't able to go. I wasn't there to be able to get in the ring and say, guys, unfortunately, we made a decision. Here's the title. Thank you very much for the opportunity to let me represent. That opportunity wasn't given to me. So I guess the update with Thunder Rosa is that she still appears to be quite some far away from making an in-ring return. So let me know your thoughts on today's AEW news stories in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.